and welcome back to another video, and today we are going over the second to last week to Chapter 8, Season 1. Now, just to clarify, um, this is the last map update for Chapter 8, Season 1. So, once, this video's over, we just wait until Season 2, which is on the 15th. I also noticed that I may or may not have been saying this entire time that this season is 8 weeks long, and that is a lie. It's 9 weeks long. So, um, I apologize, but this is a week for the final set of storyline stuff, and also I'll do a little bit of explaining for a little bit of the future of my story. Anyway, over here in Folks Farm, the main update is this rift beacon in the center. Of course, this is hinting towards the location of change next season, which might be a little larger than first thought. I also am very excited to get to that season because that's the season where the storyline actually fully ramps up. Chapter 8 Season 1 has been taking it light because Chapter 7 had an incredibly big hole to fill compared to Chapter 5 or Chapter 4 through 6. That was a very low point in the story. But this is the start of the final act of the story. So in that case, I have to really ramp this up. So, yeah, very cool. I want to go over a little bit of Chapter 9. Yes, I know. Isn't that crazy? We're literally a year away from Chapter 9, and I already want to go over it. Chapter 8 is 4 seasons long. I've already explained that. That's pretty cool to know. It's the shortest chapter, and in that case, I have a lot to build up to in only 4 seasons. And I really don't want to make it seem like what's going to happen at the end of this chapter completely change the story practically, but I'm afraid it is. I'm afraid that the story is going to flip on its head second chapter of the final act of the story, and there's a method to my madness. There's a method to my madness. But Chapter 9, I've been giving teasers, actual map teasers a year out. And, in that case, we're gonna fly to other places. Chapter 9 is a very large chapter. It is ginormous. This map is huge. This is barely even a corner of the map. Yeah, Chapter 9 is legitimately giant. I'm less than halfway through, but there are going to be changes coming with Chapter 9 on the map. I won't explain those because that's that's weird. That's something I shouldn't do. But there are going to be fairly substantial changes coming to the map. But one thing I really want to go over is that it's going to be so much more realistic than the prior maps. Everything is on that island is going to feel like I've been working incredibly hard, but it genuinely feels like if you rounded out the corners, it would look like a place in real life. Of course, each chapter has a specific theme. I've never explained that yet, but Chapter 1 was kind of like medieval fantasy. Chapter 2 was kind of modern futuristic, so it's kind of like in the middle between. You could also even say retro futuristic, kind of how like back in the 80s, how they would visualize modern futuristic buildings. Chapter 3 was Sky Island themed. Chapter 4 was kind of primal nature themed. Chapter 5 was incredibly like Greek mythology. Well, yeah, more Greece themed, I guess. There was Greek mythology, but it was primarily Greece, just in general, and a little bit of Rome. Chapter 6 was Viking and wow, holy crap, mind blank. Sorry, Viking and Spanish/Italian. It would have been Italian. That's it. Then chapter 7 was, of course, that European themed chapter, kind of overall European. There was Italian, Spanish. There was a bunch of Russian inspiration and German inspiration, so that's a primary thing. But yeah, and then chapter 8, which is the one we're in now, is West Coast and South American themed. You can really like see that there's a lot of like Mexican style like inspiration. You can really see it in this biome in particular, a bunch of Mexico inspiration. And then for West Coast, you of course have the desert and the mountainous regions. And yeah, I mean that's a good explanation for kind of, you can go off of what future themes I can do for the final 2 chapters. And by the way, once I'm done with my story, I don't plan to just kind of like stop making islands. There's gonna be a lot of stuff. Also, I should clarify, after chapter 10, which is the final chapter, there is technically another map called chapter 11, but it's like not a story, so it's just kind of just there. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, I do believe we should send off chapter 8 season 1 with a goodbye, because this season is the beginning of an amazing end to this story. So yeah, without further ado, let's go into the final story quests, and then next week there not only will be a chapter 8 season 2 trailer, but there will be likely a chapter 8 season 1 goodbye trailer, or I guess like video, but potato tomato. Goodbye. Not goodbye. Goodbye.
Glad to see you drop by. So far we're winning this election, but we can't exactly expect the United Folk to lose with honour. I'm going to need you to set up another voice recording boxes inside of the meeting hall within Moonlit Manor. All we need is Oscar to say something stupid, then we'll win for sure.
I'm glad all of you could make it. It would seem I'm going to lose this election, but the TO5 are naive. They don't understand the dire situation we are faced with. I have set up a rift beacon near the center of the savannah. Once it goes off, the landscape would be altered, and it will allow us to take over the TO5's main headquarters. Once we do that, we'll be able to set up the gala, and then the last step in finally allowing the Shapeless Man to set foot upon this reality. I will not stop until that is accomplished. He plans to destroy us if we don't follow his instructions clearly.
The Shapeless Man? How could the Shapeless Man have gotten control of Oscar? Unless Null was right about the whole thing. Maybe the Shapeless Man does enter the mind through dreams. And if that's the case, we are on the brink of annihilation. I have to speak to Giovanni about this whole thing. We need to prepare for the worst. Oscar can't even imagine what he's about to do. Thanks. At least we've ensured the victory of the election. But Oscar is far more dangerous than we first thought.